So I've been blowing glass or using my torch here to melt glass and make pipes for a week, and I've had the torch burning for just over 2 weeks now. So as you can see, I already fucked up my initial close there. I blew it out, so I had to restart. Kind of scary when that happens, but it happens. I'm still learning how to maneuver the glass and melt it to a proper temperature. So here we see I'm going to be making a small piece of functional art. I'm going to be laying down a few stripes of blue, cobalt blue, just along one side of a half-inch 12 millimeter cylinder with 2 millimeter walls. The entire video here is going to be in 3 times speed, so the whole uh, piece of functional art here took me just under a half hour to complete. Ideally, it should probably take me about 20 minutes, but I'm still learning, as I said. So now I'm filling around the rest of this tube with clear glass to even out the thickness. I still prefer to use a lot of clear glass because it's a lot cheaper than using the colored glass, which is 4, 5, 10 times more expensive than the clear. What I'm using here is stringers, which I've pulled out, which is a different technique that I'll have a video coming up on pretty soon, no doubt. So what I'm doing here is just making sure that I keep the whole thing hot, melting the lines down as I go along. When you're painting the lines, that's what I like to call it. I don't know what the technical term is for it. You want to make sure that they go down right down beside each other, or else you're going to have creases, and when you start to puff into it and expand the glass, those holes are going to blow out and cause holes to form. That's a big problem when you're making a piece of functional art. As you can see, I'm holding the glass quite close to the flame. That's because the glass is a really poor conductor of heat, and just a few inches away from the heat, the glass will not get hot. Now, of course, I have burned myself a half dozen times in the last 2 weeks, and that's just an occupational hazard. If you're afraid of burning yourself, don't try this. And on that note, this hobby is not for everybody. It's extremely expensive to get into, and it's a lot of work. It's hard to figure out how to melt the glass. You're not going to sit down and make a functional piece of art the first time you sit down at the torch. So I'm just about done layering the glass now, I think. So I'm just going to, and when I pull it up close to the camera there, I'm actually blowing into it just to equalize the pressure and make sure that the cylinder doesn't collapse down upon itself. Because if it does that, this piece of functional art is pretty much wasted. Now I'm just going ahead and making sure that all of the holes that I might have missed are completely filled in. This is one of the better pieces of functional art that I've done where I've layered the glass. It's actually come out rather smooth. I actually had trouble at the end, but we'll see that in just a little while. So we're just about halfway into the video here, and we can see that once again I'm just filling in a few holes that I might have found as I started puffing into the glass. The torch that I'm using here is a Nortel Mega Miner, and I use 2 oxygen concentrators for it and a can of propane gas that I store outside. So there you go. Now I'm just starting to heat the glass and trying to melt it all in as even as I can without collapsing the tube. So I keep blowing into it without trying to puff it out too much, but maintaining a solid cylinder on the center. And there I just used a graphite marver to paddle down the top a little bit just to make sure that all of the glass was completely pressed together. As you can see, it's starting to really smooth out quite nicely in just a few minutes, but you can see when I blew out there, one side was a little bit hotter than the other. One other thing I have to watch out for when I'm working with this functional art, because if you don't have an even heat base, it's really difficult to puff it out and get the right shape going. So now I'm just stretching out the neck of the piece of functional art here, and I'm notorious for knocking punties off the end. I try to make them not too strong on the end, but that's sometimes my downfall. So after I've finished pulling out the neck a little bit, sometimes I go off screen, I apologize. Um, every time I pull it to the end, I'm heating the glass up slowly because if you shock the glass too much, it will crack. And it really sucks when you just spent um, 15 minutes working on a piece to have it crack. That's what a lot of the pieces in front of you are, cracked pieces. So now I'm just burning the end in a little bit just to take care of where the punty was. Oh, I just blew a hole in actually, sorry. And now I'm just heating around the hole to push the bowl in. Really nice how easy that is to do. Now, of course, I have to blow in the carb or the choke on this as well, which is done just the same way around the side. And you just heat a small piece of the glass and blow into it really hard, and it makes a bubble that pops off and blows out. It's important once again to have really good ventilation because that shit that pops off is dangerous. The carb always takes a little bit longer to blow, but as you see, I've got it there, and I just need to make sure that it's big enough to create a good pull through for it. There you have it, and in just a second you're going to see that it's going to blow back through. So here we go. I'm just warming the pipe back up because I'm going to pull it down to start cutting the neck off. 1, 2, 3, there you go. This is the most difficult part of making the pipes for me, in all honesty. What you have to do is twist it out, thin the glass, and encourage it to pull a hole. For me, this takes a long time, and on this pipe, I pulled off almost an inch of the neck trying to get it done. Some pipes it's easier, some pipes it's a lot harder. So that's one technique that I still have a lot of work to do on. But it's a lot of fun to try to play around with this glass. And so far my progress is pretty much where I expected it to be at this point. It's one hobby that is going to take me a long time to master, but I have a feeling that in a few months from now, the pieces that I'm creating will be rather nice, and they'll be available to the viewers on the channel until they're sellable for shipping costs. And then after that, they'll be available at thedragononline.com. If you haven't checked them out lately, check them out. They have some amazing products that just came through. So head on over to thedragononline.com and see what they have available. They were at the Treat Yourself Expo with me and found some great products. So send them a message about the DaVinci Vaporizer if you want to see that review sooner than later. Cheers, guys. Have a great night. And of course, happy smoking.
This is fucking shambles, smack. This is my arm. See this arm? It's so badly gonna smack you all.
Come on, man, give me some fucking berries. Right, man, forward.